Hi, Nicole.
Hello, how are you?
Doing good. Nice to finally meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
Meet you. Meet you. How's everything up in at the new station?
Interesting right now with everything that's going on, but yeah.
The last time I spoke with you, I think it was back in February. You were telling me that you were still like the only person in the, you were a one-man band, news director.
Yeah.
Have you progressed or, yeah, I want to kind of talk about that, but have you progressed a little bit?
Not really, just because of everything that's happened with COVID-19. So unfortunately for us, our timeline has been pushed back a little bit. So yeah.
Okay, no, that's exciting. I'm really excited to see what you guys do and compete with the Miami market.
It will be interesting for sure, right?
Yeah. So you can hear me. This is my first time hosting a webinar. The person who was supposed to host it is actually on another call, and he's going to be joining. But you can, am I full screen when I speak?
Well, not for me. What I see full screen is the Nabj and Nahj.
Okay.
Yeah. And so then I have a little side panel.
There we go. Hi, McDowell.
Yeah.
I can't hear you. She's muted.
You're muted.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes, I can hear you.
My IT director, aka my husband.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, I think we're waiting for a couple more folks.
Hopefully I'm not doing this only for you.
No. We have 30 people already.
Nicole.
Yes.
What do you work for?
I work for Scripps. I work at WSFL, the CW station.
So what do you do?
I'm the news director.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
What did you come from?
I was the assistant news director at our Scripps station in Tampa before I came here.
So you're the Floridian.
Not born and raised, but I am now. I love it.
Where did you grow up?
Pennsylvania.
Oh, I was born in Pennsylvania. I don't know anything about it, so don't ask me.
Oh, well, where though?
A year after in Puerto Rico, to Puerto Rico.
How long is this?
How long is this one?
An hour.
An hour.
All right, just so we know we need to leave.
Yeah, they need to leave, right? My family.
Why don't you grab another table, leave in your room, or we can meet upstairs.
I have Don Williams who's having trouble, and then Drew Barry is having trouble getting on. So what happened was we had such a positive response. We had so many people register that we had to upgrade our account.
So much.
That's great.
Everything from home and to go to places.
Yeah. Let me see. Drew Barry was on. It's which is good. I mean, it's
It's a good problem to have, right?
It's a good problem to have. Like I said, this is my first time hosting a meeting. Russell Motley was supposed to host it, but he's on another call, so he's gonna hop on. But I got an email from Don and Drew. They're trying to get on, so we'll see what happens.
Sounds good.
Are you working from home, Medalia, or are you going in every day?
Only on Thursdays. It coincides that I have so many conference calls on Thursday. And only to please my boss, I have been working out. I will be from home on Thursday.
Cool. Hi, yes.
I'm sorry.
So Nicole, I will talk to you about how to find your first news director job. I'm joking.
I think Jasmine just hopped online. Jasmine, are you there?
Maybe she's on a red carpet, right?
Yes. Hi, Jasmine. You can't hear you. You're on mute. You're on mute.
I gotta say, Jasmine, if you want technology information from me to unmute, we're gonna be here forever.
She's trying.
Yeah. Try hitting your space bar.
Are you okay?
I think so.
Okay, I just heard.
No?
No, it's someone else. My husband wants to know if I'm okay because I'm.
Oh, Barry, how are you? We can't. You're on mute, bro. Jasmine, you're still trying to figure it out? Jasmine's struggling.
Jasmine's on mute too.
She's been on mute for like 10 minutes now.
Yes, you don't want to be in any room with me that I can talk and you have to listen.
All right, so we're at.
Love those glasses.
My glasses? So, Drew, I have a challenge with my glasses. I love my glasses. They're very cute, but they're so heavy that I can keep them forever. I'm waiting for the quarantine to go over so I can go to the doctor again and get new glasses.
Gotcha. Well, they're nice though.
So I will use my glasses only for pictures.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it.
So we're just waiting for
So, Drew, what
Dawn and Jasmine.
Don is saying that he's here.
Okay, so I can promote him. Magali, were you gonna say something?
No, I was just talking to Drew to ask him what does he do?
Oh, I'm sorry. Executive Director in Nabj.
Okay, good. So, but do you work here in South Florida?
No, I did not. I always wanted to get to Florida though for working, but I never got to Florida.
Oh, okay.
Stayed in the Northeast all the time. New York, Philadelphia, Baltimore. Did go to Dallas. Okay. New
No,
Orleans.
I don't think
Atlanta.
it's the same. I don't think it's the same.
So Don Williams, you're on. I have two screens for you. I don't know what's going on. And Jasmine, are you there? She's still on mute.
I'm here if you all can hear me.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah.
Great. I've never had trouble with the muting. It's always started. I've been able to start, but this time around it gave me a hard time. But
Awesome. Well, we have everyone on. The last person we're missing is Russell Motley, but he's actually on the elections phone call, Drew. So he's going to join us a little bit later. I guess elections is having a phone call right now. NABJ elections is having a conference call right now. So he's going to join us in a little bit to give greetings as president of the chapter.
Okay.
But we're going to go ahead and get started. I have 64 people who registered. And to be honest, you know, this had such a positive response that we had to actually upgrade our account. So many people signed up and we got so many questions and comments. So I want to get right into it. So good evening. I would like to thank everyone for joining us. I'm very happy to be able to put this together. We had such a positive response for this webinar that we had to upgrade our account to allow more people to participate. My name is Juan Diaz-Granados, and I work as the Public Affairs Manager for Miami-Dade County Government. With that being said, I'd like to introduce Drew Berry, the NABJ Executive Director, to bring greetings from the national organization. And before I let him speak, I want everyone to know that Drew Berry is a former recruiter himself. He has served in leadership capacities, including General Manager and News Director at TV stations in Baltimore, Dallas, Philadelphia, and New York City. Drew Berry is also a former educator teaching at various universities across the country. So this webinar probably really hits home for you, Drew. So what can you tell us about the upcoming NABJ, NAHJ convention this summer, and why should students and young professionals in communications attend in a nutshell?
Let me put it like this: it's gonna be exciting. I know you're not able to squeeze and hug people and all of that, but this virtual convention is going to be absolutely wonderful. You're going to have all the training you would normally get at the conventions and basically all the sessions. I think we're planning for 70 different sessions or something like that range from teaching students the crafts of the business to even the veterans and even technical folk. A wide range of training virtually. It's just going to be big. We are also the other thing is, because it's virtual, we usually average about 400 to 500 students at our conventions. I think that our pricing structure, which we will release next week, is going to allow even more students to come, and we're going to give a lot of scholarships away to students. We're going to make it really, 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 really easy for students to come. So that number could double in a virtual environment, because of course you don't have to pay for travel, you don't have to pay for hotel and that type of thing. We're even going to do, well, I am limited on what I can tell you at this point, but
Give us an exclusive, you know, hook it up for us.
We won't tell.
well, okay. If I do that, it'll be all over the place because of social media and all that. But you will have your usual.
Is that okay?
Yeah, I can't do. You will have your usual star-studded celebrities there as well, just part of that entertainment thing. And the big sports task force jam, because our people really like to network and have a good time. Don't be surprised. We're still going to have the jam. I can't tell you the specifics, but you're going to have some celebrities acting as DJs and contests with giveaways, with giving away anything from money to prizes to equipment, technology, and all that kind of stuff. It's going to be a pretty interesting, engaging environment even for that. Luncheon functions. People love the free lunches we give away at the convention. They go to the luncheon sessions and they get fed. We are going to have virtual luncheons, but real food, such as you will be able to go into the luncheon sessions and you will have the first however many 100 people who get in there will get Uber Eats. You can call up Uber Eats in your neighborhood and the code, and you get something up to $25. So that's kind of nice little thing there to keep the luncheon thing going. And the big thing is that more people are going to be able to talk to the mentors and the hiring folk. You'd be surprised how many. I know some of our members, quite a few of them, have been laid off or furloughed or something like that. But I think beginning tomorrow, there are a lot of people looking for jobs now too. a lot. Okay,
Mm.
a lot. And
That's right.
so don't think just because you're hearing the negative when you go onto our job line on our front page right now you can see we did some people who are in need, if you've been furloughed or if you're a student there's some hard times or whatever, go apply for some of these grants. Okay, the committee is going to look at them and people will be able to get some relief with this whole COVID thing. Uh,
Cool.
but COVID's going to be a major theme of the convention, obviously, because it displaced so many of us. Some of you were, and I might be going a little bit too long, Juan, so you can just give me the hook when you want to, okay?
Okay.
The Some may have been wondering, well, why didn't we call the virtual convention earlier? Well, we were working on it, but if we had told you guys that we were doing this, we would have been in breach of a contract and we would have had to pay the hotel $1.3 million. So we had to keep our mouth closed until we got the official negotiations out of the way and all of that. But you get a lot of training. I highly recommend, and I can tell you, students, if this is your first convention, you probably won't miss another one. Okay, once you get that, you get friends for life. The training is absolutely tremendous, and you'll actually even set up a lot of networking opportunities in the virtual space too. So
Now let's talk about the career fair really fast. How many companies have confirmed or about so far, so that the students can kind of get the magnitude of how big this is?
you have about 70 different companies, and they have 140 booths, 10 by 10 booths. Of course, now that'll be virtual, but you have
Yeah.
every major and many minor media companies there, and public relation firms and academic institutions as well, because they're looking for graduate students and things like that. So everybody's there. Okay, they're
Okay.
there, and if they don't have jobs right now, they will have jobs. They track you, and they'll have jobs later. But there are a lot of jobs out there, and especially your MMJ jobs. They love young people because you can do it all.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, Drew. I'm actually going to put you on the spot because I know we have a lot of graduating seniors who are on the call right now. So I'm going to put you on the spot. The first 5 people, I'm going to put your email in the chat, but the first 5 people who email you can get, and they got to email you their resume link or their YouTube link. They will get a free critique session from you because you worked in all these major markets. So the first 5 people to email Drew Berry, I'm going to put his email in the chat. Send him your YouTube or resume link, and he's going to look at it for free. Probably worth hundreds of dollars, since it's probably worth a lot of
Never
money. But
charge
he's going to do it
students.
for free.
Never charge students.
Just
That's good. No problem.
to
No,
help out these students who are
first 5, but let's take it to another step, and that's okay. I don't mind being put on the spot like that. That's good stuff. But also,
okay.
get ready. Now, this is another one. This you have to do this again. The first 5 who email me with the subject line "free registration," I'll give you free registration.
Can I get you?
First 5.
Can I give? Can I give?
Students.
First 5. All right. So I'm getting messages in the chat right now. What's his email?
I
So
do need an address.
I'm going to put your email in the chat. But yes, the first 5 people for a critique, and also the first 5 people for a free registration.
And you
We're going to go ahead and take care of
You
that.
can't do one email. Oh man, I'm asking for trouble. I'm gonna go through hundreds of emails tonight, but that's okay. The first 5 that I get, okay, that's it. So if you don't hear from me, it means you didn't win.
But look, Drew, thank you again for everything you're doing to ensure young journalists can pursue their dreams and get jobs and internships. Thank you for taking a couple minutes to join our call. And if you want to stay, feel free to stay. If not, we will see you at the online convention.
Absolutely. Love you. Thank you. Oh,
all right, thank you so
didn't
much.
tell you that I used to be his professor either, okay? I used to be his professor.
Yeah, yes. I'm sucking up now. I'm sucking up.
And you know what?
Thanks so
He
much.
was a good student. He was a really good student. Bye.
I tried. So look, we're going to go ahead and get started. All of the questions for today's panelists were submitted by all of the attendees. We received more than 60 questions. None of these were my questions, to be honest. So in order to get through as many as possible, I'm going to ask for each panelist whenever I ask a question, I'm going to ask for 2 panelists to answer the question so that we can kind of keep this moving. All attendees can also submit your questions in the chat. And any panelists, if you do have some downtime during the chat, during the discussion, feel free to answer them as well. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started. Let's do introductions. Tell me who you are and what your role is at your job. Nicole, I see you first on my screen, so we're going to start with you. Who you are and what's your role at your job.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nicole Wolf, and I'm the news director at WSFL, the CW station here in Miami, Fort Lauderdale.
Cool. All right. Migdalia, you want to go next?
Yeah, my name is Migdalia Figueroa. I am the news director for the NBC-owned station in Miami. I've been in this position for 8 years. Before that, I was the Telemundo 51 news director for I don't know how many years, I don't remember. And before that, I worked at Univision for 15 years. I'm the mom of 2 boys, and I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. Jasmine, you want to go next?
Hi, everyone. I'm Jasmine Neely. I am a senior coordinator at Nascar. I'm based here in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I work on our industry communications team. So we help with the communications between the teams and the tracks in NASCAR.
How cool is that? All right. And last but not least, Don.
Hey, everyone. Let me tell you, it's a pleasure to be on this call with this awesome group of panelists. Thank you all very much for inviting me. My name is Don Chris Williams. I am the program director / content director for WMBX X1023 radio station in West Palm Beach, Florida. Also, I am the afternoon jock, 3 o'clock till 7 on the radio, home of Steve Harvey Morning Show in West Palm Beach. January will mark 25 years that I've been in radio, and it's been a blessing, and I'm glad to be here today.
Awesome. And then I see that we have Russell Motley, our chapter president, who just joined. Russell, we're just doing quick introductions. Make it about 20 seconds so that we can get into the questions. You're muted right now, so we can't hear you. But go ahead and introduce yourself.
Language person.
Hello. How's everybody doing? Thank you for joining us tonight. Sorry I'm late. I was on an Nabj elections call. I'm running for a national board position, but very brief meeting. Glad I'm here. And Juan, I know you're gonna really engage our panelists and make this an open forum for all of the students that definitely want jobs and definitely want internships. So I'm excited to hear what the panelists have to say and how they're going to, take us to the next level post COVID-19.
Yes, that's true. So I'm just going to start with the most popular question that I received from all of the attendees. What, if any, entry-level opportunities do you have available at your company, or you will have at your company in the coming months? We started with Nicole. We're going to start with Dawn this time and work our way backwards.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, and I just want to be transparent with, my answers and everything right now, hopefully to help people with our company right now because of this COVID-19 virus. We are currently not hiring at the moment, but with that being said, positions will open up. And for anybody out there looking to get into radio, it's definitely going to be opportunity. But what I would be encouraging people to do right now is build those relationships and network so people think of you first soon as these opportunities open up and the economy get back to normal.
And Don, what type of entry-level positions do you predict will open up? Entry-level.
Well, I mean, for us, we have board operator positions, and I just don't want to say just entry-level positions because I think it'll be positions all over. And if you make yourself valuable to the company, like they'll create a position for you if they see the value in you, whether it's entry level or whether it's at the top, you know? So for me, I'm like, show your value and let them see what you're able to do, and you could create a position. I've seen it happen many times.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Don. Jasmine, let's go to you next.
Hey, yes. So just to echo off what Don said, just to be transparent, we're in this pandemic going on in the world. So our company has been affected as well as other companies. So we have had a hiring freeze the past couple months, but that doesn't mean that there will not be opportunities opening up in the next couple months, in the next couple weeks. I encourage in NASCAR, I would encourage you to go to careers.nascar.com. I can put that in the chat, but search that website periodically. And then also, if you're looking for a job, get on and sign up for alerts on Glassdoor. There are always those types of alerts that come through. I know I signed up for them when I was back in college. I encourage you to go on that website, see if there's anything opening up in the next couple months and weeks. But we also do have an internship program through NASCAR's called the NASCAR Diversity Internship Program. And those applications usually open up in like September, and I think they close in December. So the period for this year is already stopped, and we have already selected interns. But if that's something that you're looking forward to in the future, don't turn down an internship. After I graduated, I did get an internship, and it led to a full-time job. So I would say don't overlook those opportunities as well.
Hey, Juan.
Yes.
May I add something else to this too? Great comment there. And I just want to say this, you know, for you to get that internship or that job, you gotta think outside the box, think early. I would be trying to turn in my resume and paperwork early. So people, again, I'm going to say this again, it's about building networks and relationships and getting to know people. Right now, if you know a company is not hiring, find some kind of creative way to get to know who's the person in charge and understand what they're looking for, so they think of you again first. I'm going to keep reiterating this and saying it again, but you may want to come up with a creative way of asking them, hey, will you mentor me? That way they can start teaching you right now, and you can start learning the game, and you're building that relationship now, so they think of you first. That's something I would do, even if a company is not hiring at this moment.
Agreed. Migdalia, what opportunities, if any, do you guys have open right now or in the coming weeks?
Honestly, none. But
Okay.
honor what Jasmine and Don are saying about being transparent. I'm gonna say I've been working on TV for 32 years. So I've been through so many difficult times. I've been through hiring freeze. I have been through budget cuts. I've been through recessions. I've never been to a pandemic, but it sucks. The time that we're going through now sucks. For those, I can see 58 participants that are about to graduate. It sucks. It's not forever though. In 2008, 2008, 2009, after September 11, there's always a reason for things to go bad. So it's your option and your decision to make it good. We can't hire you right now, but we will hire you at some point. I would like to say that journalism, and especially local TV and local news, it is super relevant, and it is a matter to make it reliable and relevant and relatable, but we need to keep going at it. And at some point, you'll go back and you will find that job. And then when you begin working until you're able to retire, you go through it so many times. So I'm sure that you're panicking right now. And I don't know if I can help you to not panic that much, but I can assure you that Juan, Nicole, Jasmine, John, and Russell We have been through so many times that we have panicked ourselves. And I keep panicking. I'm panicking right now. I'm worried about my job right now. But we will survive because, believe it or not, what we do is essential.
Yeah.
So you need to keep going, and you need to establish your relationships. You need to understand networking, and you need to understand what is it that I can do that is better than the rest? What makes me special? What can I offer right now? And for the rest of my career, what I can offer. At least that's what I can tell to my kids all the time. Is that like, okay, we are fucked right now. How do we survive?
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Magalia. And Nicole, what about you?
Well, I mean, I'm just going to reiterate what everyone else had said. I mean, those of you who are seniors, if you're about to graduate, if you're doing an internship, if you're fortunate enough to do that, if you're fortunate enough to get one, it is so important. I started in this career back in 1997. I did an internship at WJZ in Baltimore, which is where I had my first TV job. And so then and during my internship, it was just about like making my presence known and doing everything that I could to let them know how serious I was and that I really wanted to work there. I didn't know anybody in Baltimore. I'm originally from Pennsylvania. We grew up with like no cable, so we would get Baltimore stations because we lived on the Pennsylvania-Maryland line. Oprah worked at WJZ and I said, I'm gonna work there. And that was my very first job. And being in this business for 23 years, like Magdalia said, we have seen a lot, but this too shall pass. It will. And, right now it's tough. I mean, my job, just got my first news director position. COVID-19 hits, and now I'm like, oh, okay. What does this mean, And so, what's that?
A beautiful time to be a news director.
A beautiful time. So, this too shall pass. We are relevant. Good journalism does matter. I think that we work in an industry, and those of you who want to get into it, there's some trying times, right? We're questioned. But, at the heart of it, what we do is important. And if it's in you and that's what you believe, then don't give that up. You just have to be patient and ride this out. So my station is owned by Scripps. I mean, right now, my station here in Miami is not hiring, but there will be jobs in the future. I think it's just a matter of being patient, making those contacts, reaching out to people, find yourself a mentor, and that could really help you, and this will go away. It will.
Okay. Nicole, I'm going to pick on you really fast. I know you're fairly new at your job, and I'm told that, I last spoke with you a couple months ago, you were actually building your own newsroom from the ground up over at WFL. So how's that process been, and what's the future for your station?
Well, it's on pause right now due to COVID. So I was hired in March. And so the plan, right now the CW station here doesn't do news. And so we're going to build a news operation, and the plan was to have this year, but obviously because of COVID, things have changed. We don't even, we're literally building, I have to hire an entire newsroom, and we have to build our newsroom. But because everything got shut down, we're like, what do we do? So, the timing for that has been pushed back, but the project is still moving forward. And so that's what I find comfort in, is that Scripps is like, we're still going to do this, but we have to be realistic, right? We can't, I can't bring people in, and I mean, I'm not trying to get anybody's, put their lives in danger or anything like that. So, for us, it's just the timeline. So, one day we're going to get there and it'll be great. But right now we just have to wait.
No, that's kind of exciting, that you guys are going to be doing news. Magalia, I'm going to need you to cover your ears because it sounds like competition may be coming to South Florida. So
competition. I do feel, unfortunately, I feel that the local business has become a competition. And nowadays with COVID and so many things that we go through, and I said I just want people to be informed. Yeah. I just want our communities to be safe and to be informed.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
I totally agree. Yeah. And You know, it's different than when we started, right? When we started in this business, the viewership was different. You know, so much has changed even along those lines that, you know, for us, it's just about when we are established going out and doing great stories that are making an impact for people. And whether we do something and Channel 6 does something, you know, at the end of the day, people, you know, they have a choice of who they're going to watch, right? So our job is just to do the best that we can as far as telling stories that are really impactful for people. And that's what we're going to do.
Cool. Nice. Jasmine, for you, as you know, communications is bigger than just TV. You can do marketing, you can do PR, you can do social media, and so much more. And someone this call may aspire to be a correspondent for ESPN and have a passion for sports, but they never really thought of NASCAR. They're like, NASCAR? For me? I never watched NASCAR before. So why is working at NASCAR a great start for a sport, you know, a career in sports?
Well, I feel like NASCAR is overlooked a lot, like you mentioned. People don't normally think of NASCAR when they think of sports. Or maybe you do and you're a huge NASCAR fan, but I think the majority of people don't think of it. But I will say, and something I didn't mention earlier is, although NASCAR may not be hiring now, NASCAR is an ecosystem. So we have teams and we have tracks that aren't NASCAR owned. They're their own entity. So you have Hendrick Motorsports, just to name a few, some of the big ones. You have Joe Gibbs Racing. You have Stewart Haas Racing. Those are some of the big teams. But you also have lower level teams, but that's still racing the top level series. But those teams might be hiring. Tracks might be hiring. If you're in Florida, we have Daytona International Speedway there. There's other smaller tracks there that may be hiring. Sometimes NASCAR doesn't own all of the tracks, but I would check those as well. But to answer your question, Juan, I think NASCAR, you have to really put yourself out there. I know a lot of people talked about maintaining relationships and building those relationships. You really have to put yourself in a position where you're going to meet people at those teams, at those tracks, and in the NASCAR sanctioning body. And to do that, NASCAR you can use social media. A lot of us have Twitter. And these days, a lot of people are on social media because there's nothing else to do in quarantine. So NASCAR as an industry is an industry on Twitter. We talk about NASCAR all the time on Twitter. Twitter is like our platform. So go on Twitter, find people, type in hashtag NASCAR, see who's talking about NASCAR, what executives or people that work for NASCAR, what are they talking about? And if you can DM them, find them on LinkedIn. Reach out to people virtually as much as possible during this time, because you know, NASCAR is a sport just like anything else. Some people may argue that it's not a sport, but we are in the sports realm, and we have communications jobs. We have people that work in Fox and NBC National. Those are the two main broadcast partners, and they run the races all throughout the year. We are getting back to racing with no in the stands come next week on May 17th in Darlington, South Carolina. And so we're gonna have races on TV, but there are people behind the scenes that have to run those races. So I would encourage you to look at Fox and NBC and even in communications, journalists and communications go hand in hand. So I work in communications or public relations, however you want to say it, but we help journalists and journalists help us, and we go hand in hand and do our jobs. So don't count out, if you are a journalist, don't count out communications field as well. Hope that answered the question.
And don't count out NASCAR. And don't
count out NASCAR, yeah.
Juan, I got to give NASCAR some props, because as a broadcast journalism professor at Florida Memorial University, my students know I'm always talking about careers and internships. So when NASCAR invited us several years ago to come out for their championship race, my students just went berserk. And it just kind of shocked me that they were so interested in a sport that doesn't necessarily look like us. But my students are smart. They realize that this is an opportunity for them to be on the front lines and actually see what professional journalists are doing in the world of sports. And I tell you, I mean, when I have a sign-up sheet, it is always full. I'm having to turn away students. They can't wait to get to NASCAR because we get like the red carpet for media. They give us a pass, and we have all access, and our students get to shoot packages right on the track with the race car drivers. And so it's just a great opportunity, and I have to give NASCAR props for their diversity program and welcoming my students and exposing them to something different other than a TV station or a radio station, because they are viable options for careers.
TV station.
I'm sorry.
What's that again?
There's nothing wrong with TV stations.
There's nothing wrong with, that's how I got my start. All right. I was a news anchor reporter. There's nothing wrong. But I mean, you said it, the jobs are limited now. So now students are going to have to look elsewhere and get creative, you know, as they graduate. The class of 2020, I don't know what to tell them.
Yeah. But I do love that what you're saying, and I don't know if creative is the word. I think people need to understand, and I think the younger generations have the luxury of knowing how to do research better than we used to do. Because research for my generation, probably Russell generations and Nicole generations, was weird because we didn't have Google. So doing research, understanding different companies and different brands and different organizations was difficult, but nowadays it's very easy. We have an easy access to everybody. So I would say what you're saying on all of your saying as internship programs goes against my company, for example, because my company just canceled all the internship programs because we pay for interns. So we don't have the money anymore. But if I would be about to graduate and eligible for the internship program, I would go back to the original premise of just doing the internship and not expecting the money. So I will be researching and choosing companies right now that they don't pay for internship.
No, I agree.
I think what those companies are doing right now is restricting the internship programs because of the social distancing protocols. But as soon as we can work in offices, those internship programs will be open. I don't think my internship program will be open because I don't think we will have the money to pay for it.
Good point.
Now, I would say, and if the NBC executives will be listening to me, I would just have to shoot myself right now. But the reality is that right now that we will be choosing and researching companies that don't pay for the internship programs.
Don, I'm going to go to you. As you know, news isn't for everyone.
Can I add one comment to that last question, please, because this is real dear to me. You know, you talk about the whole NASCAR thing, and that's great. I would not turn down that opportunity because I'm thinking of opportunity, you know, and yeah, it may look like a setback, but it could be a blessing in disguise. I'm thinking about it. There's some PR work somewhere in that NASCAR, and you never know who you may know or connect with there that could connect you with someone else. As Mr. Russell said, he was there at the event. Or being on this call today, here we have Jasmine who works at NASCAR. And I'm like, okay, well, if I have a relationship with her and I work for her in the NASCAR, okay, she knows some people over here that's in the journalism field. Maybe she can connect me with them if she believes in me, and that could open up other doors. But it all started with you having to, what looked like, take a step back and go into another field just so you can move forward. So I wouldn't count that out because there's always blessings somewhere. And somebody you know somebody else that can help you get there.
No, yeah, I definitely did not expect to be working at NASCAR. I grew up in Charlotte, North Carolina. NASCAR, the Hall of Fame is here. One of our headquarters is here, but I never thought that I'd be working for NASCAR. And I definitely didn't think about it in college. I had an advisor in college who actually worked for NASCAR, and she told me about the internship program. So I applied, and that's where I really started my journey. But yeah, don't count it out. And like Russell was saying, the accessibility you get in this sport is unlike any other sport. You can walk up to a driver and have a conversation with them. May not happen right now during this time, and things may change in the future because of COVID-19, but it is very accessible as a journalist and as a fan.
So Don, I want to get to you. Some students on this call are probably interested in career in blogging, entertainment, and/or radio. How does one pursue a career in radio or get their start in radio?
You know, I mean, it's no one way. You know, I look back at my example, and first of all, let me say this. I got my start back in St. Louis. I was a senior in high school, and it's been a blessing for me because I was able to start right from high school and participate in, believe it or not, Nabj program, the St. Louis chapter there, where I met the DJ that was the host for the morning show, and the rest has been history. And I started there at the bottom as a board operator. I didn't talk on the radio for 4 years, but was just running the mixer board there. And I was out in the streets doing promotions for the station, washing the vehicles, running, getting breakfast. And I was dedicated. That's something I was very passionate about. That's all I wanted to do. And, you know, I worked my way up from the bottom before you, well, I'll say it took time, but I ended up being an on-air personality, then moved to a full-time position at another radio station, then came back to that radio station, moved to Indianapolis, was there 15 years. And now I'm the manager here in West Palm Beach, and it's been 5 years. So for me, I had to move around. For other people, it's a different journey. I had one guy who came into the radio station here at West Palm Beach, and just like anybody else, hey, I'm interested in radio, on the job. I didn't pay him any attention. Yeah, turn in a resume, blah, 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 this and that. And he would come up to the radio station all the time, almost every other day, with his resume trying to get in. And I'm like, yo, when the position opened up, I'll let you know about it. But in my mind, he was, you know, the average person will say he was kind of getting on your nerves. He's very persistent, but kind of getting on my nerves with it. He stopped me one day and he said, listen, you remember when you got your big shot in radio, you wanted this really, really so bad. And you remember when that first person opened the door for you? And that made me think for a minute. Changed my thinking right then and there. I thought about it and I said, you know what? I'm gonna interview this guy. And I'm glad I interviewed him because he ended up getting a job position. And I'm talking about beating out everybody else. And he ended up leaving, going to Orlando, but he was one of the best people I've ever worked with in my life. Then you have some people who go to college, they get degrees. Some people is who you know. I'm not saying it's one way. I'm just saying you just got to be consistent and you got to be persistent with it. There's no one way.
But you know what, Don? That's how I got my start in broadcasting at a country and western station when I was in high school. And I knew I was interested in broadcasting. And I just called up the owner of the radio station. He says, hey, come by after school. And I was playing around on the mics. He had me read some AP Wire copy. And he was listening to me. I didn't realize he was listening to my voice. He says, hey, you got something there. Why don't you come by every day after school and do the 5 o'clock news? And that's how I got my start. But I think the fact that I was just very naive, I didn't know anything about protocol. I just picked up the phone and called, which a lot of students don't do these days. I don't know whether they're timid or whether they don't know to do that, but I just instinctively did that, and that started to open up the door. So at least you have to make the effort, make the phone call, send the email, something to get noticed. And if, like you said, someone takes interest in you, that could be the start of something big.
So just because of time, I'm going to try and speed through as many questions as possible. I can't believe we only have 15, 20 minutes left. There are some questions in the chat, panelists. If some of you guys can take 1 or 2 of those questions and answer them so that we can try and answer as many as possible. Migdalia, I'm going to go to you. There's a lot of people on this call who may speak Creole, who may speak Spanish. What is your advice to folks who want to get into international news or kind of want to find your niche in their home native language?
Oh, God. Well, that is, as a matter of fact, very easy. There's some different media outlets that are just communicating with a specific community. That is not easy to get hired, but easy to research. Like if you just want to work in Spanish and you're in the South Florida market, you know, it's pretty easy to identify all the TV stations, all the radio stations, and even the newspapers or blogs or digital platforms that are only for Spanish speakers, and the same with Creole. I would say that's just an easy research that is available. I would say here is just And at a very competitive time and a very challenging time, you need to understand what is it that you can offer that is better than the rest. How do you connect with the people that can make decisions in a better way than other people that connect? And that is a very personal question to ask. But if you are in that situation, you need to understand that question. You need to understand, what is it that I bring to the table versus 150 other people that are probably looking for the same that I'm looking for. And I think by being already present here, you probably have an advantage. I wish I could go back to 32 years when I began in this business and understand the importance of networking. I think that God gave me a blessing by gave me a mentor without me realizing what a mentor was. But right now, I think you need to understand what the power of research, the power of you being unique, what is it that you can offer that is unique, and how do you identify the mentor on the area that you want to be shining. Like I did hire, I back there in 1988, 89, and 90, I thought that my ultimate goal was to be a news director. Because I thought that when I was 50, I was going to be very old, which I know is not true now. But, but back then I thought, oh my God, I needed to be a news director. So I started identifying who were the news directors in the market that I was working at that moment and the market that I want to work for. And then I reached out and I established relationship with all those people. So I would say, yeah, you do need to understand you are in a fierce competition and identify what's your game plan for that competition.
Cool. So let me ask this. I only want 2 people to answer. I'm going to try and get through as many as possible. How does one stand out amongst other candidates? And when are you being persistent? And what's the level of being annoying? Obviously, many of you guys are going to get many emails within the next 24 hours of all the attendees. Hey, I'm looking for a job. Hey, I'm looking for an internship. You know, you may or may not be able to get to it by tomorrow. They may send you another email Sunday, maybe another one Monday. When is, what is being persistent and what is being, okay, that's a little bit too much. Anyone want to take that? We can be real.
You have nothing to offer, you're going to be annoying.
I think, well, twofold for this, and I just want to mention, when we talk about, how are you going to stand out against the other candidates? Obviously, your skill set is important, but when you go on that job interview or you're talking to someone about a position, it's also about that authentic connection, because not only are we looking at your skill set, we're looking at your personality. How do you handle difficult situations? The interview is just also, for me, when I interview someone, I take time. I just want to get to know them, right? Tell me, when I say tell me about you, I don't want to know about, oh yeah, I'm good at doing this. I want to know about who you are, because there's something called culture. So when you're hired into a place, that it's important that you fit into that culture. So, taking advantage of that when you're, talking to people, make sure you're making an authentic connection, because we've been in this for a long time. And so we can see past the BS, quite frankly. We could tell if you're going to be someone that we want to invest in, meaning that we're willing to hire you over someone else who may have more experience, because we see that there's some potential there. We've been in this business for a long time and have hired a lot of good eggs, and we've hired some bad eggs in our time. So we know what that's like. So when you're making those connections, be authentic. I admire someone who is persistent, but I feel like, you have to be persistent with a purpose, if that makes sense. Like, it's not just like, hey, Nicole, just checking in. I haven't heard from you. Hey, Nicole, just checking in. I haven't heard from you. Like, you have to be able to read that other person as well. So if it's like, hey, you know what? I may not get back to you because, again, my sole job isn't to hire you because I have a job. right? Does that make sense? So I think, there's a level of persistence that, you should gauge it like, okay, you know what? It's been a couple days. You know what? Let me just send Nicole a message just to see how she's doing. Because that's different than, hey, Nicole, I haven't heard from you, but more of, hey, Nicole, just touching base. I've been, I hope everything's going well. I hope you and your family are safe. Just wanted to say hi.
Cool.
It's different.
Don, you want to answer that? Don, you want to chime in?
Sure, I'll chime in. Again, and I'm going to keep saying this because this is the theme of what I have to say. It's all about networking and relationships. One of the greatest tools we have a lot of times, in my opinion, is Facebook. And it may be a simple trick of, hey, going to see, do you all have any common friends that you can connect with to see, hey, that may be the person. If you can't get to a person directly, and I'm talking about I'm just saying for me, this may not work for everybody, but I'm just saying for me, hey, if you're not getting my attention, maybe you have to go a different route and get it through somebody else that you may see through Facebook or something like that know me, and they could kind of tie us together or open the doors so we can start to build a relationship. If you scroll down a person's page, it tells them a lot about you. So, hey, you may have to find out what's that common interest that's there that you all can start to build off of and open the doors. One thing I think about, I met Mr. Russell there in Miami. I drove down for one of the meetings, and he returned the favor. He wanted to come up and build a relationship with us here in West Palm Beach, and drove all the way from Miami just to hang out at our radio station and see what we're doing in this way, network. And that's what it's about, building relationships with people. You have to find a way. You may have to inconvenience yourself and go out the way. If you hear someone on the radio or going to be somewhere at a location, I'm not saying stalk them, but I'm not saying that, but put yourself out there so that they can start to see you and be familiar with you and start to pay attention to you. That's one way I would pay attention to someone. So again, that may not work for everyone. Everyone is different. You have to figure out what it is and keep trying. Don't give up because one door is shut in your face.
Okay, here's another question from an attendee. During this time of quarantine, what could we be doing, since you guys are not hiring, to continue to build our resume? Very direct and to the point, as you can see. Anyone want to take that?
I can take that one. I think you can work on your personal brand, work on your social media, clean it up. If you know you've posted something in the past, maybe that you wouldn't show to your grandma or your mom, I'm pretty sure you put it all the time. Clean it up. Go as far back as you can, because employers will do their research and they will dig on you. So I just say, clean up social media and work on your personal brand. Even if that means doing your own thing or doing freelance work, so you can build up your resume. If there's a chance for you to make personal videos or make your own website, that maybe showcases all your skills or some of your skill sets or things that you may enjoy even outside of what you are, whatever your focus is now or whatever your major is, that also makes you well-rounded. So build your brand, your personal brand, and clean up social media and make sure you're not saying anything that could affect you down the road.
Cool, thank you. With most TV and radio stations not hiring or under a budget freeze, do you think it's wise to attend graduate school for a year, and will I have a better chance of getting a job? Anyone?
That was actually going to be my question, Juan, because about a decade ago, I decided to leave TV and go and get my master's degree at Florida A&M University. Best decision of my life, because it opened up so many doors. It gave me options. And so I didn't have to just be a news anchor. I could become a professor like I am now. And so I think probably a lot of students who are graduating undergrad might say, this is the time for me to go and get that graduate degree, since there are no jobs that are available. But yes, when they come out, does that make them more marketable? And this is a question, I guess, for the folks that do the hiring. Does it make it more marketable, or does it, or are you looking for more experience than education?
I think it depends on the position, really. If someone who has a graduate degree, I mean, I think it just depends on what they're looking to do. When it comes to being a reporter, does a reporter necessarily need a graduate degree? Well, maybe if, in the future they're working their way to do, something else. That's a tough one because, I never want to discourage anyone from furthering their education, but I think it just depends on what that person, what their goal is as far as like what the end result for them is going to be. Working in TV news, a lot of it is about experience, versus having a master's degree,
Okay.
An experience that I went through this constantly this week. As I said, we're not hiring. I'm a very fond of our internship program. Unfortunately, for good or for well, we do pay for an internship program. Talking to all of you, thinking that maybe when I go back to the office tomorrow, I suggest we go back to a non-paying internship program so we can give people the experience of doing it. I don't think it'll be right away because of the social distancing and the amount of people that we're letting in the building. But I do want to share an experience that we did have in 2019 an intern in our digital program that I did. I was very impressed. I do not manage our digital platforms, but I was very impressed with whatever she was, her output was very impressive. And then we always do a last meeting where everybody shares what they showed, and we do give them an experience, an opportunity to show their tapes and all that. I was so blown away by this person, so blown away. It's been a whole year that I keep this name in my head thinking, oh my God, I need to go back to this person because she has so much to give. I finally found her again on social media this week. I was so disappointed to find that her whole social media was about bikinis and fitness.
Oh.
There's nothing wrong with that, by the way.
Uh-huh.
There's platforms to do that. But if your real career, you think is in hard news, you need to identify what's your real dream, how are you developing your own personal brand, and how to get there. But if you did an internship in news, you wanted to establish a relationship with a hard news director, and want to keep going down. And when I go back to the social media, if all I found is you doing fitness videos and bikinis, I'm not interested in you anymore.
That's fair. That's fair. I have another question. This is from, I'm not going to say their name, but I'm just going to ask it. As a student with a nose piercing and tattoo, should I expect to get a job? Should I expect that to get in the way of me from getting a job or internship in the media field? Should I cover them up or just get rid of them? Will my appearance affect my career?
I want to say, I want to answer that only because I just talked about bikinis.
Go for it. Go for it.
I don't have any problem with that. I think there's a modern society. We are very different. I think we all have to respect diversity. We all have to respect inclusion. I don't care about how you look, your tattoos and your piercing or your hair or your skin color tells me anything. I don't care. Can you tell good stories? Do you have empathy? Do you understand what takes societies? Do you know how to make change, how to provoke change? Do you know how to think? All that. But if I go to your Instagram page and all you can post is about your piercing and your tattoos, then I don't care about you.
That's fair. That's fair. Anyone else want to chime in or?
Same thing with radio. I mean, we have someone that hosts the morning show. He has a baby blue hair, spiked up. I mean, it is a beautiful thing. It's the generation we live in. And I get it. For some jobs, no. But for ours and radio, I mean, it works. And great opportunity for us in radio. And to piggyback off that last point, you have to be careful and understand like what you post on your social media. When you work for a company, you are a representation of them. And a lot of people think because, hey, this is my social media, the radio station, the TV station, the NASCAR can't tell me what to put on my page. If they can't tell you what to put on your page, they can definitely let you go or fire you. I've seen it happen several times because people didn't understand that and didn't understand that they were jeopardizing the company. So you definitely have to be careful because when someone is hiring, you better believe whether you see it or not, they're going and looking and researching you to see, hey, who is this person? Are they a great fit for the company? So please understand that. And if you have your page locked, that's a reason for people to reject your resume or turn it down. I've seen it happen several times before. If you think you're gonna outdo somebody and lock your page.
I was just gonna ask, do
you make your mom proud, we'll be fine.
I was just gonna ask, as recruiters, when you're about to hire someone, do you look at their social media? Is that fair to say?
I do.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
And if you see something,
but once they send me their name, I go stalking everybody on social media.
And if you see something very political, or if you see something that's just a little bit too much, that could be the point where you say, you know what, this isn't for you.
100%.
Yes.
That's good to know. I see Nicole shaking her head. I see Medalia. I see Don. Yeah.
Yes.
Is that a yes for you too, or a NASCAR?
Well, I guess I've been in the hiring process. I don't do that much hiring. I hire interns usually for our communications department. But yes, I did go on their social media. I looked at all of their social media, so that is definitely true.
Cool. I know
And
that
it's
it
not
is.
just really, can I just add something to that? Because it's not just like bikini pictures or pictures of your tattoos and piercing. It's also, if you want to be a journalist and you're posting, a political side one way versus the other, you have to be careful with that because again, you are representing the station. And so it's not just about those, sexy pictures or whatever. It's also your views, right? You have to be really careful with that.
Okay. It is 8 o'clock. I'm going to ask, is it okay if I ask 2 more questions and then we can all get off? Is that fair?
Yeah, like we have a really busy agenda right now in quarantine.
So I'm going to ask 2 more questions and then I promise I'll let you guys go. I'm getting a ton of questions on
this is fun.
I'm
and so forth.
I'm okay.
There's a question in the chat regarding, what happens when you apply for a company and they tell you that you need more experience? What should you do in that scenario?
I would say you're probably then applying for the wrong job. I would say there's jobs that you do need experience and there's some other jobs that I would say probably 10% of the jobs that I have in general, they're from people with non-experience. So you do need to hire. It does get a little bit to my nerves when you are at a certain level and you are applying for 3 levels up.
Exactly. You're not going to hire someone who has no anchor experience, but they're applying for
like I would say you're graduating and you are working for your school and your TV school and you're anchoring in your TV school and you send me your anchor are real. No, you're not going to be an anchor in Miami, Market 16, coming out of Gainesville. Mm-hmm. Even if Gainesville is a great school. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You need to find a reporter job first, and then you become an anchor at some point. But when you're doing your demo tape and you're graduating and your first shot that I see in your demo tape is an anchor demo tape, I tend to skip you right away.
That's good to know. That's good to know. Migdalia, I have a question from someone who's asking, hi, I'm on the call. I have 3 years of experience in a small market. Will you hire me? You will.
I do. Let me tell you, I hired in the last 12, 24 months, people right straight from college, not even 3 years.
Wow.
I actually had in the last 12 weeks, 12 months, 2 people that had been our interns that I put positions on hold to hire those interns when they graduate.
Mm.
I actually call the Gainesville, one dean in Gainesville to allow a person to finish their degree online so I can hire that person. But you're applying to the right position for you.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay. Where do you think the future of journalism and communications will be in 5 years? Will all reporters be MMJs? Will Jasmine, for you, is all communications going to be done through the phone with so many new apps and so forth? Don, for you, is everything going to be syndication? You know, you got the Breakfast Club, you know, on pretty much every urban station, you know, across the country. You know, will there still be newspapers? You know, is everyone going to become an entrepreneur or their own self-journalist? So for all of you guys, where's the future of journalism and communications in 5 years?
I'll go first. When you talk about the radio end, I will say this. You know, back in the day, it used to be okay for you to come in and do 30, 45 minutes worth of show prep and then go on and just do an air shift and then be on about your day. It's not like that anymore. You have to be able to, even in my position as a program director, understand I'm responsible for everything that go across this 100,000 watt radio station, everything across the airways. I not only am monitoring the radio station, I'm doing production, I'm doing promotions, I am program director, I'm managing a team, I am the content director when it comes to everything across the websites and meetings and coming up with creative contests and promotions and scheduling music director, everything. The more valuable you make yourself to the radio station and you're changing and growing with the times, the more valuable you're going to be. Yes, there are syndication radio shows, but you could be that one getting syndicated. And there are still going to be those jobs that require some people to run that. And you have to put yourself in that best possible position if you're going to survive. And again, it's what makes you stand out, because it's one thing to be on the outside trying to stand out, but once you get on the inside, your work is just starting. Now, what are you going to do to really, really stand out? How are you going to show that you're an asset that's needed? Building your brand on social media through the radio station or the TV station, social media as well. Because if you're just building it on yours, that means nothing for the TV or radio station. We want to see how you transfer it over to ours so that we can make money off of it and you get paid as well. That's what you need to be thinking about. How are we going to build not only our brand, but also build it in conjunction with the radio station so it can all turn into revenue, not just for the station, but also for clients looking to bring awareness to their businesses.
Okay. Jasmine, what about you? What's the future for the communications field? What do you see the future of Nascar going? You know, what's the future in general for media?
Yeah, well, in communications, our team, specifically in NASCAR, we're very integrated, and you have to learn how to do a multitude of different things. So I work in industry communications, but we also have business communications. We have marketing, social and digital communications. We have broadcast communications. So there's different business units that we touch just within communications, and you kind of have to be well-rounded to kind of be thrown into the fire, basically, if something happens. Just know how to do each part of each business unit. And I also think just with our current situation, it's going to be more virtual. I think this is just my opinion. Right now, we've seen a lot of drivers tell their stories in their homes using Zoom, doing Zoom calls, even getting on, and just in news in general, we see interviews done via Zoom or FaceTime or anything over video. I think there's going to be more of that, people telling their stories in their homes, and it gives the opportunity to tell more meaningful stories and getting to know that person even more. We deal with athletes 24/7. So athletes, people want to know about athletes' lives. They want to know, they want to know them on the track or on the field or whatever, and then they want to know them off the track. So I think it's going to be more so, getting into their lives and kind of figuring out, who they are as a person that way.
Cool. Okay. Migdalia, what's the future of news and MMJs?
I think we were on the path to make everybody an MNJ, and I think this pandemic probably accelerated that. I think everybody has to have the skills in order to survive.
Really, even in the Miami market, you can see somewhere down the line.
In the New York market, even in New York, in LA, I think the more skills that you have in a new era, and you're not as stupid as I am that I have such limited skills, the better that you're gonna. But yes, I do like that question. But I think there's deeper questions than that. How much do you want, and how much do you want to be successful in this kind of job? How much information is a passion for you? How much do you care? Like if you care and your information in relaying information and communities informed, is that passion? What do you care if you have to be your own photographer or not?
Does NBC6 hire MMJs, or is everyone a reporter?
I would say, I don't have top of my head that information, but I would say out of our reporting staff, probably 20%, 25% is MNJs.
Wow.
Yeah. And I would say probably bigger markets. I can see how right now stations in California, stations like, I would say more on the West Coast than in the East Coast, but I can see how in the West Coast, surviving this pandemic has been more on the hands of MNJs than on the hands of full crews. There's no future for you if you can be a multitasker.
That's true. And just for all the students who are listening out there, MMJ is a one-man band. You write, edit, shoot, report, you do it all.
Or if you're the producer, you need to be able to be a storyteller, you need to be able to write, you need to understand graphics, you need to because one thing that I don't feel comfortable in this scenario like tonight is when we talk only about people that want to be on camera, on reporters. There's so many roles in a newsroom. There's so many needs in a newsroom. There's so many things that happen before we go on the air. And there's so many people that are way more important than a reporter making decisions.
That's true.
So if the only thing that you can do is one thing, you're great at that thing, good for you, you're not gonna find a job.
That's true. That's true. That's very true. And what about you, Nicole? Where do you see the future of news a couple of years down the line from now?
I mean, news will always be there. I just think, I look back at when I started 23 years ago, and just the systems are so different, right? So I came up the producer track, and so how I was a producer then is completely different. Producers now are doing more, and it does, as we continue to evolve, the jobs change, right? The responsibilities change. And so it is important that you do have that mindset of being a multitasker, of wanting to do more and more things. I think digital is going to play an even bigger role in years to come than it does now. And so who knows, it's just with habits changing and technology changing, it's not like when my grandmother and my parents used to come home every night and sit down and watch the news. You don't have that appointment viewing anymore. And so, news stations are now trying to figure out, okay, what's our next step, right? How are we going to get ahead of that curve of being on digital? What does that look like? So, news will always be there. It's just a matter of the change, and you have to change with the way that, viewing habits change, technology changes. So for the young people that are on this call, you really have an advantage because you were born with a digital mindset. I wasn't, so, you have an advantage of that. And so it's just really recognizing what does that mean? And then finding your niche. But, news will always be there. It's just a matter of what it looks like, I think will change.
Yeah,
Okay.
Juan, news will always be there, but to the students, you gotta still know the fundamentals. I'm also editor-in-chief of Legacy and MIA magazine, and I can't tell you, I'm having a hard time just finding writers just to write basic stories. Everybody wants to be a reporter, but no one can really tell a story and tell it in a way that has a little personality to it. I don't need a profile on someone, a business person, and it sounds like a resume. And I get that all the time. I don't want a resume. I want to know about this person. Take me deeper into this person's mind and how do they operate? How do they tick? If we're doing a story about the CEO of a hospital, which we had to do recently, I don't want a resume. Tell me more about this person. And so it's just very tough finding people that have that particular skill. And it's something that you have to work on. And if you're not writing every single day, you're not going to get it. If you're not out shooting video and editing every single day, you're not going to get it. So, and that's something my students who are on this call, they hear me say that daily. And it's just very essential if you want to stay ahead of the game and actually get that job.
Cool. All right, this is going to be our, go on.
I am 100%, I have to say this. I am 100% in agreement with Russell. I don't know that there's any kind of job that you can survive if you don't practice being a good storyteller. You can be a good doctor if you can communicate with your patients. You can be a good lawyer if you can go to the courtroom and present your story. Being a storyteller, if any kind of young people that you develop in your career, whatever career it is, I would say there's a potential for you to succeed if you can become a good storyteller.
Last but not least, this is going to be my last question so that I can get you guys off and you can enjoy your evening.
What?
How has how has COVID-19 changed your newsroom and/or workplace? I know a lot of you guys are working from home. I'm seeing a lot of reporters, working from home, doing stand-ups from home. Don, I think you're DJing from home. So kind of talk about what it's like, being, under this pandemic for each of you. Nicole, you want to start first?
Yep, I'll start. Well, I think that, this pandemic has really taught us a lot because, it's amazing what TV stations are doing and radio stations as well, that we haven't done before, and to be able to put on newscast remotely and having producers work from home and anchors from home. And, it's kind of eye-opening, I think, and it just kind of, and I don't know what that means for the future. It may be some stations take a look at that and decide to operate a little bit differently. But I think it's changed, the way that we do business because everybody had to react. What are we going to do, right? We can't all be in the same station. We can't be next to each other. What are we going to do? And so, I think it's just really eye-opening because I don't know what that means, for the future because people may operate differently.
Can you see maybe anchors, maybe, they can't find a babysitter that night and they can anchor from home? That? Nicole, can you kind of envision that?
For me, I think it would just depend, right? It would depend on what the situation is. Obviously, a lot, viewers have been viewers are local news has gotten so much viewership now based, on the COVID-19. Not only are people wanting the information, but they're adjusting to this new normal that, anchors being at home. I'm not saying that that's how it should be. I'm saying that there may be some situations where some things are different. I'm not saying that your main anchors are going to be sitting in their living rooms, doing the news, but it is eye-opening. To me, it is. So.
Cool. Magdala, you want to go next?
I can feel, I'm very impressed. This is my third day. I stay home today. This is only my third day that I stay home. I don't enjoy it. I don't like it. I'm a people's person. I love being around people. But yes, I think things are gonna change. I remember at the very beginning of this process, my boss told me, "Oh, you need to send the non-essential people to work from home." And I said, "Okay, I can send my secretary." I thought I could send one person.
Yeah.
Eventually, during that week, I ended up like on Friday, and that was on a Monday, and I looked back and we had 3 people in the newsroom.
Wow.
Everybody was working from home, but 2 producers taking the show to the control room and me. And I said, shit, like a week ago, I said only my secretary can go home. So I think it's very, it is game changing. I think it's going to change, and it is worth changing. I think it's worth changing for the environment, for the commute, for the infrastructure. I think there's so many benefits to it, but I think people would have to decide who wants to work from home and who won't. I don't like working from home. I like being with my team. I like being with my people.
Mhm.
I don't think I would ever, if my decision is solely mine, that I would decide to have an anchor working from home permanently. But there's some other people that can work in and out. I remember this specific case at the very beginning of this executive producer that I have, that he's married to a manager, like a town manager, like the manager of the Wilton Manors town. And sometimes they do have the conflict. They have 2 little kids, and sometimes the manager have to go to a commission meeting, and the other person is struggling in the office. And I said, you know what, from now on, maybe I can go to home at 1 p.m. and I can read all the scripts and all the shows from home. And I said, that sounds like a good plan. So there's places that we can accommodate, and some other places that I don't think we would accommodate.
Cool.
So definitely. But listen, in NBC6 during this pandemic, we have launched 2 different shows, one at 4 p.m. and one at 7 p.m. And the executive producer and the producer, both shows are working from home. So we have been able to launch 2 different shows working from home. So it is possible. Is it a perfect, it's not, but it is possible. Is it worth analyzing what is the best thing for society in general, for the planet in general, for the environment in general, for the health and safety in general? I think it's worth analyzing that.
Yeah. Oh.
But I'm not going to be that person staying home.
All right. What about you, Jasmine?
Yeah, so we've been working from home, NASCAR as a whole, but as you can imagine, we are trying to get back to racing. We actually have had a eNASCAR iRacing Invitational series, which is, if you can think of it kind of like a video game, but a lot of drivers don't like to call it a video game, but it's basically racing on a rig and a simulator, and you're racing on the tracks that NASCAR owns, or the tracks that usually we've traveled to. It's a virtual replica of those same exact tracks. So we've done that since this all started mid-March, and even people have said the racing has been exciting and virtually than the real racing. Our first week that we had this virtual iRacing league, we had close to 1 million viewers. In the second week, we had 1.3 million viewers, and that was the highest esports televised live event ever. So it's done, it's kept our fans engaged, and it's kept, the drivers engaged, and they have been, talking on social media about all the things that they've been doing in quarantine, what they're doing with their families, how they're preparing to get back to racing. And iRacing is one of those tools that we use, that drivers use all the time to practice for when they get back on the real track. But other than that, working from home, we are slowly going back to the office, kind of rotating who goes back, and then rotating out the next week. depending on who is essential and needs to be at the track for next weekend and then the weekend that we're in Charlotte. So we also have a schedule that we're trying to put out and make the races that we did not go to in March and April. So a lot of those details are being ironed out right now, but I've had the luxury of working from home, and I feel like I've gotten used to it. It's been past 21 days, and I feel like it takes 21 days to maintain a habit, and I think I'm I'm used to working from home. So at first I didn't really like it, but now it's kind of like, okay, this is what it is right now. So it's going to be hard to go back for sure.
Of course, of course. And Don, what about you? I see you're doing the radio show from home. How is that?
Or not.
Do me a favor, Juan. Please repeat the question one more time for me.
I see you've been doing your radio show from home. How has that been? You know, DJing and
Oh,
broadcasting
yes.
from the crib.
Yes, we've all kind of been working from home. And let me say this. I mean, it's different, and it's an adjustment. And with us in radio, we make things happen over here. You know, earlier I was just having a conversation with people at my job. We had our managers meeting today, and things are going to be different. You know, in fact, they're looking at ways to save money. Obviously, with this COVID-19, a lot of people are not advertising on the radio. Let's be honest with it. And the station has lost millions of dollars. So they're looking for ways. Hey, how can we change that? How can we get that money back? How can we use our employees and really build things? And I'm just going to be honest here on the radio side across the country. One part we have failed in is really figuring out new ways to keep listeners, because with this COVID-19 hit, well, guess what? People are not in their cars anymore. And when do most people listen to the radio? In their cars. So obviously the ratings dipped down, and we lost a lot of listeners because they're at home, and a lot of people don't have radios at home. But now what we've learned is now's the time to really start pushing the message of listening on a Alexa device, or how you can go to your computer and you can listen online at our website, x1023.com, or you can download our mobile app to your phone. That way you can take us with you wherever you go. That way, when something like a pandemic hits again, people are already there and can easily switch their listening habits. And we still get the ratings as well. But other ways we've been able to take advantage of things, mixing from home. I've been doing that. Another one of my jocks is doing exercising classes online to connect with the people. I've reached out and had various artists on our social media. Just last week, we had John Legend, and it was like 35,000 people on our social media for a 30-minute interview and singing and all of that, just so we can connect with the artists, and the artists can connect with the people, to the people through our social media as well. And on air, we've been doing a lot of free advertisement right now, because there's a lot of businesses out there struggling, and we want to show them, with us being a community radio station, we want them to understand that we are here to support them, and we understand the struggles they're going through, and we're here to help them get through it. So those are a few things that we are doing here in West Palm Beach.
Cool, cool. Russell, I'm going to throw it to you before I give my closing remarks. Anything you would like to say, and or thank our panelists before we end this conversation?
Yeah, really want to thank the panelists for being very honest and candid, because that's what it really is all about. I don't want to give, these students some pipe dreams that this is going to happen once they graduate, because it may not happen. I just messaged a young lady, Anna, in the chat room, and she was asking about whether she can get a job in college. And I was that student that was very persistent. In my senior year of college at the University of Miami, I was working downtown at the Miami Herald as a copy editor 3 days out of the week. And it led to a full-time job as a business reporter in the Herald's Fort Lauderdale office. And that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to do TV, but I had a job at graduation. So it still was in the field of journalism, working for the Miami Herald, great newspaper. It's not going to hurt my resume. It's not going to hurt my track. And so while I was working at the Heralds, Jim Barry was my mentor. He's helping me. He's grooming me for the 2 years that I worked at the Herald to make the transition to TV, to do what I dreamed of doing. So there's different avenues, different ways of getting to that goal. It's not going to be perfect. It may not be perfect. Some people are going to be perfect. Mine took a little while, but I did it and I reached my goal. So you just have to be persistent, and you got to get a mentor. Another one of, well, my mentor told me you don't have to have a mentor, but I think you need a mentor, somebody that's doing what you want to do, somebody that can give you that personal guidance. And so somebody that you can look up to. I need a mentor, all right? I need someone to help take me to the next level. So you want someone that's invested in you and that's taking an interest in you, and that's going to help push you and get you to the next level. So I think that's very important. And I think our panelists here, you guys would make great mentors, right?
Yeah.
Of course.
And lastly, go ahead.
I'm so grateful to this program because, again, I started my career and I look back and I'm like, man, I was a senior in high school and I just wanted to do radio. And although I went to Forest Park Community College in St. Louis, to kickstart with this program here, when I moved here to Florida, like I was like, man, I want to know about this program because it really, really started my career off. So I'm so appreciative of the St. Louis chapter. You all have shown me a lot of love. I'm in contact with you all. I appreciate it. And you better believe I still have mentors to this day, and I have several mentors, and I'm going to continue to work with you all. And I wrote down email addresses too, even of the people on the panel, because I want to network and build with them. So I encourage everyone else to do the same. And I'm not coming to them asking them for a job. I just want to build a relationship. And you never know, that could lead to a job later on down the line, but start planting that seed right now. That's what I would recommend, period.
Amen.
Lastly, Juan, I want to thank you for being a great moderator, and thank you for organizing this forum. I think this was a very, like I said, candid and lively discussion, and thank you for your efforts.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to ask all the panelists to please put down your email, if you don't mind, inside the chat. I'm getting a lot of questions saying, hey, can they look at my resume? Hey, I have a question for them. So if you know how to do it, put it inside the chats so that, you know, that these students can connect with you. I see some of you guys are looking at the screen trying to figure out how to do it. So if you do get a chance, and if you have social media, if you don't mind connecting with them, you know, do that as well. I think it'll be very beneficial to all the students and young professionals on the call. Sadly, we have run out of time. We actually went over time, but I do appreciate all of you guys spending an hour and a half with us. We really appreciate you taking your time out of your day to make yourself available for all of the young professionals tonight. Please stay tuned. This is for all the students on the call. Please stay tuned for upcoming events, and feel free to email me or any of the panelists with any questions or comments. Thank you to everybody. Panelists, any final last words?
I'll say stay encouraged.
Yeah.
Stay encouraged.
Yeah. Do not give up.
I would say just feeding myself out of what Russell just said. Let's just also make sure that this crisis and this pandemic don't discourage us, as you said, because I think we're making strides with diversity and inclusion. And I would hate to see this pandemic just discourage us, because we do have so many challenges in our communities, but this is a very important time for us. As you can read in all media and all that, like Black people and brown people we are suffering more with this pandemic. So we need to make sure that we can have a seat at the table and continue representing our community.
All right. Don, you're muted. Don, you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Last word.
Believe in yourself. If someone tell you no, a no don't mean forever. It just mean a no for now. Keep going, keep pushing. Don't let that discourage you. If you can't go through the front door, there's a window, there's a back door, there's a garage. Keep going, keep pushing, and get there. That's it.
All right, students. Challenge accepted. You better email all the panelists, introduce yourself, send them your resumes, and let's get you guys hired, and let's get you guys some internships. Thank you to everybody, and have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.